Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Obsessive Compulsive Gaming. And a very happy new year to all of you bastards out there. Haha, love you all. I am the Obsessive Compulsive Gamer, and this is my ranking for all 137 new release games I played in 2025. That's right there, viewers, I sure love my gaming. And that's not even including all of the games that I replayed this year, like Final Fantasy 15, Final Fantasy 16, Final Fantasy 7 Remake, The Last of Us Part 2, Marvel's Spider-Man, and so on and so forth. So I have probably this year alone played, probably about 250, 300 different video games, though it wouldn't surprise me if the number was actually much higher than that. But we're not here to talk about all those other video games. We are here simply to rank all the new release titles that I played, in order from worst to best. So let's not waste too much time. Get yourselves a drink, maybe a tasty little snack. And in the words of Mother Teresa, let's fucking do this. Starting off with number 137. The worst game I played in 2025 goes to MOTOTRIALS. Not heard of it? That's okay, you don't need to even bother with this piece of garbage. We control a motorcycle very, very badly as we attempt to make our way across an obstacle course of sorts. You know what, I'm already pissed off talking about this game. Let's move on to number 136, BUILDEST. Now, if there's one genre video game I absolutely detest, it's simulator games, but we'll get to them eventually. Another one that I detest is these building sim-like video games. I know they've got their fans, but dear viewer, they are not for me. Absolutely not for me. And you can quote me on that. Number 135, Saving Princess of Mars. Retro pixel graphics, absolutely horrible gameplay, no voice acting, an absolutely pathetic attempt at humor. Not for me. Number 134, The Last Zone. If there's anything that pisses me off more in this world, it's an absolutely terrible zombie video game. And The Last Zone is exactly that. Absolutely appalling in all senses of the word. With a capital A and an exclamation point at the end. Avoid this game at all costs. Number 133, Road Cafe Simulator. I told you we were going to get to the simulator video games eventually, and these next few entries, you can put them in whatever order you want. I simply attempted to list them in order of how much I enjoyed them, or which ones I enjoyed just slightly more than the ones below it. Road Cafe Simulator. Pretending to work in a road cafe. I wouldn't work in a road cafe in real life. I probably wouldn't be caught dead in a road cafe. Not unless someone murdered me and then dragged my corpse into the premises. So why the hell do I want to play a bloody video game when I'm serving customers? No, 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 no. Number 132. Motel Business Simulator. Again? I would never want to work in a motel. Who even came up with the word motel? It's hotel, you idiot. Hotel. Dreadful game. Number 131. Retro Geek Shop Simulator. Now this one, I have been in a fair few geek shops in my time. I've even been kicked out of a fair few geek shops in my time. But I can assure you it was all completely Bertram's fault.
That's not true.
Shut up, Bertram. Number 130, Zombie Lockdown Simulator. And number 129, Shelter 78, Mutant Protocol. Now these two simulator games are so damn similar, I would swear they just took one game and then copied and pasted it to create the other game. Scanning people to see if they're infected with a virus, checking them for cuts, having to bloody refuel the bloody place and get food and all that other nonsense. No, absolutely not for me. Simulator games are just, yuck. If there's one resolution I have for 2026, it's not to play any of these bloody simulator video games. Frankly, they're a complete and utter waste of time, and it means I have to talk about them when I get to my end of the year ranking. Speaking of rank, we have 128. 28 days, Trainwreck Survivor. Only slightly better than the games that are below it, but that's only because we actually get to run around and see wildlife in their natural habitat. There is a train wreck, which is something that well, it's not really something I like seeing in real life. Not that I've seen many train wrecks, you understand. I performed at a couple of shows, though, that would probably be described as train wrecks, but that's a different kind of train wreck. Haha. Moving on. Number 127. Two Hands Hospital Assistant Simulator. I had a pretty funny time recording a video for this game. And that's not because the game itself was funny. No. It's because my commentary was incredibly hilarious. That's the only reason I have put this game at number 127 and not at number 137. I can improve anything in life. Even terrible video games. You'll be glad to hear that's an end to the simulator video games. No, actually, there is one more which may be placed slightly higher on this list. I guess you'll have to stick around to find out, won't you? Number 126. MOUTHOLE. One of those retro pixel, very cheaply made kind of video games in which we go into some kind of nightmarish realm inside someone's bloody mouth or something. This game's just sick. I felt very unwell when I was playing it, and I feel very unwell right now that I'm remembering playing it. So let's move on very quickly to number 125. The Nameless City. A kind of valiant attempt at making a H.P. Lovecraft-inspired video game, but it's still a dreadful one nonetheless. And those graphics, There's one thing I can't stand, it's retro-inspired graphics that are not put to good use. Like in this bloody game. Number 124, Battle of Rebels. Now I actually have absolutely no memory of playing this game. I think it was some kind of military shooter, but I know definitively, as soon as I looked at the title, I said to myself, OCG, that's an absolutely dreadful title, and I'm absolutely 99.9% certain it was an absolutely dreadful video game. Don't believe me? Well, go and watch my video on the game, and you'll find out for yourself. Number 123. Beach Invasion 1915. Gallipoli. Now this is a military shooter set, rather coincidentally, in 1915. We're just flung into the bloody game and expected to know exactly what to do. You'll have enemies coming towards you from the opposing side, and you'll have to basically, well, shoot the bastards, of course. A lot of the things in the environment wouldn't let me interact with them, especially the big cannons, which I could have put to good use, destroying the opposing side. But this is yet again another very, very cheap video game that I'm sure was made by very nice people. I mean, I don't know them personally. They might be a complete team of murderers for all I know. But for the basis of this video, I'm just going to assume that they're very nice. Give money to charity. pet animals when they see them. Speaking of animals, number 122. Funny Animal Cafe. Now, I suppose this could be considered a simulator video game, and why it gets just a little bit of pointage from me is because, well, it features animals. And I love animals, and it's quite cute. But would I ever touch it again? Absolutely not. What are you, insane? Speaking of insane, number 121, Skinwalker. A horror game in which we are essentially attacked by a testosterone-fueled version of Bambi. And I've got to say, I got a lot of laughs out of playing this game. Just because when the bloody Bambi monster spots you, the way that it moves towards you is, it's pretty damn funny. But the rest of the game, oh, absolute dog shit. Avoid at all costs. Number 120. RABBIMAN Adventures. You've seen Batman, you've seen Superman, hell, you might have even seen Wonder Woman. But what I guarantee you have not seen is RABBIMAN. Rather ironic considering he's a child, so it should be Rabbi Boy. This game has a lot of Jewish stuff in it. That's all I can really remember about it. And also the fact that it's an absolutely terrible platformer adventure type game. Again, our boy. Number 119. VYUN, KOSMYA, and the Witch's Curse. Now this was a very, very short, kind of cute visual novel kind of game. And that's all I can really say about it, dear viewers. Like I've already said, there's videos for absolutely every single game that I talk about in this list, so if you want a little reminder of what the games may be like, or my more in-depth thoughts on each of these games, go and hunt out those videos. Number 100, where are we? Number 118, Ultra BONK Survivors. Now this is kind of like that bloody Vampire Survivors video game. You know, you pick a character, you get thrown into a level, enemies will start coming at you and you have to take the bastards out. You'll be able to pick up power-ups every now and again. I absolutely detest Vampire Survivors, and in fact I detest most of these roguelike games that just simply make you pick a character, throw you into a level, and then you can see how long you'll survive or get bored before you throw your bloody console out of the window. Not really for me. Number 117, My Child of Ages. Now the ambition of this game is to be commended. It's trying to do Zelda Ocarina of Time by making us play as a character when they're a child, and then they can somehow transform and they're an adult. It's got a kind of cutesy, colourful, open world. There's these blob monster kind of things that you can attack. Like I said, the effort is to be commended. But does that make it a good game? Absolutely bloody not. Number 116, Lunar Nightmare. An absolutely appalling attempt at making a sci-fi horror game. Avoid. Number 115, Sky of Destruction. I like a good shoot 'em up, you know, or shmup as they tend to be called. These kind of spaceship games like Raiden and Raiden 2 and Raiden 4. And this is a very cheap budget version of that. Is it good? No. But it is slightly better than all of the other games I've mentioned so far. Number 114, Murder Inc. You remember that bloody video game? What was it called now? Hotline Miami. Well, take that game, strip it of its rather interesting, crude storyline, and you've pretty much got this piece of shit. Number 113, NARCISSUS. A top-down game in which you try to escape from a spaceship while you are attacked by aliens. It's rather frustrating. I don't like the top-down aesthetic. There's far too bloody many aliens for my liking. And once you escape from the ship, you've essentially seen absolutely everything that the game has to offer. Avoid. Number 112, ABSURDIKA. While I kind of like the visual aesthetic for this platformer, and it does deal with some rather personal issues that I myself can relate to, such as mental illness, it's just not a very good platformer game. And it's short too. Number 111, Labyrinthine. This is one of those first-person horror jump scare games where you basically have to try and make your way out of a maze while being pursued by some ghastly entity that'll pop up every now and again and make you shit your pants. Not my idea of a good time. Not the shitting your pants, you understand? I absolutely love doing that. No, jump scares. Jump scares, dear viewers. Number 110. Acre Crisis. We've all been clamoring for a Dino Crisis remake from Capcom, and instead we get this pixel first-person shooter garbage, in which you would probably have a better time spending the evening with Ted Bundy than attempting to get through this game. That's to say, it's not very good. Not very good at all. By the way, Capcom, we still want our Dino Crisis remake, dammit. Number 109, Sacrifice for Sale. Another visual novel here. Another very short one, though it does have multiple pathways through the game, and the story itself is cute enough. You're a salesman, you turn up at a house, you get taken into the house, then they tell you that they're going to sacrifice you. They don't even offer you a cup of tea or some dinner before the sacrifice. It's very nice. It's got some half-decent humor in it, but it's definitely not a game that I will ever play a game. Did I just say a game instead of again? Oh, damn it. Number 108. Grief Like a Stray Dog. Again, another visual novel. What puts this above Sacrifice for Sale is the fact that this, from what I remember of it, and understand it's been quite a mile. Mile? Did I just say mile instead of while? Damn it. It's been quite a while since I played a lot of the games on this list, but I remember Grief Like a Stray Dog not actually really being about a dog at all, and that's disappointing. I like dogs. Number 107, Cypress Legacy. The first game on this list that I was full-heartedly conned into buying. They released a lot of screenshots which looked very nice. They released a trailer or two which, you know, didn't look amazing, but I thought, well, it's not going to be a AAA game. Then they announced that Saffron Burrows was going to be playing the main character. You know, the doctor from Deep Blue Sea. Very attractive woman. So I thought to myself, well, if you got her in the game, it must be half decent. No actor worth their salt would participate in a piece of shit. Well, I'm sad to say, Saffron, you are well and truly entrenched in shit, because Cypress Legacy is absolutely appalling. Appalling! And yes, I understand they may have patched the game several times since I played it, but if you think I'm going to re-download this and give it another shot, well, haha, you got another... I might do that later, actually. Number 106, Gloomy Eyes. I feel a bit guilty putting Gloomy Eyes here at a number 106. I mean, I love the Tim Burton-inspired visuals, but what really lets this game down, and to be honest, lets down a lot of these narrative-focused games that don't have any combat, is the constant puzzle-solving, figuring out where to move one character so another character can progress. It's just incredibly dull for me. No offense if you really enjoy Gloomy Eyes. I love the visuals, if that's any kind of consolation, but putting it any higher on this list, it just wouldn't be right. Number 105, Shadow Labyrinth. What do you get when you try to reboot Pac-Man as a very dark Metroidvania game? Well, you get Shadow Labyrinth. And while I admire the effort, and I did notice a lot of the Easter eggs, and oh, that's like that thing from Pac-Man, and oh, that's like that thing from Pac-Man, I frankly can't stand Pac-Man. I was lucky that it wasn't really a game I grew up with. I was more the Mega Drive, Super Nintendo era, so thankfully, I didn't really have to suffer through early Pac-Man games. And that's really what drops this game all the way down to number 105. Who in their right mind wants to play a Metroidvania that's kind of like a dark version of Pac-Man? Not me, that's who. Number 104, Candyland's Journey. A very cutesy platformer. That's all I really have to say about that one. Number 103, Baby Steps. Now let's not get the wrong impression here, dear viewers. This game is absolutely hilarious to watch. It's absolutely hilarious to watch. So the cutscenes, very funny. Watching someone else play it, very funny. Playing it for yourself makes you want to unalive yourself. I get what they were going for here, but this game is an absolute nightmare to play. So do yourself a favor, just go and watch the trailer or watch someone else suffer through it. Trust me, that's far more entertaining than playing it for yourself. Number 102, Mortizomem. This is one of those pixelated, very cheaply made first-person horror games that did give me a couple of scares along the way. But again, it's incredibly short, I don't love the visual aesthetic, and the game basically breaks down into go to this place and get this item, then go to this place and get this item. And the map is completely unhelpful in this game. I still got a couple of jump scares though, and that's okay. Number 101, Inspector Waffle's Early Days. I think at one point this was actually developed as a Game Boy Color game. In fact, I think you can actually buy a Game Boy Color cartridge with this game on it. And that's very charming. We play as a cat who's a detective, and you'll go through several cases, and it's all very cutesy. But I was never a fan of the Game Boy. I know, judge me all you want. But seeing a Game Boy game presented on a big screen just makes it look even worse than it probably should. And for as cutesy as it is, it's just not going to be able to compete with most of the other games on this list. Sorry, Inspector Waffles. Number 100, Sonic Wings Reunion. This is another one of those shmup games I was talking about earlier, and thankfully, unlike Sky of Destruction, this one is actually pretty fun. But pretty fun doesn't get you into the top 100 games on my list. Although I suppose technically it is in the top 100, being number, well, 100. Number 99, The Last Shot Arcades. One of 3 games on this list that essentially break down to just being a collection of mini-games. And for those of you who know me, I like a bit of narrative, a bit of adventure, a bit of action in my games. So making me sit down to play nothing but a couple of mini-games just doesn't sit right with me. But it was okay. Slightly better though was number 98, Duck Dangerous Ultimate Cartridge Kidnapper. Apparently, though I might be quoting this wrong, this game has 100 different mini-games in it. Well, I certainly didn't see 100 different mini-games. And most of these are inspired by games of yesteryear. You know, like Atari games, NES games. There's one that's like Donkey Kong. There's another that's like Mario. There's a football one. There's a shmup style one. There's one where you're playing as a hunter trying to escape from a tiger in the jungle. Some of the visuals are quite nice. But again, just a collection of mini-games. This one at least has a kind of branching narrative to it all. But as you can imagine with a title like Duck, it's complete and utter nonsense. 97. Total Chaos. One of those horror attempts at trying to replicate the success of something like Resident Evil or Amnesia. And from what I understand, a lot of people really like this game. I myself, though, I just didn't. I really gave it my best shot, but nothing in the game was grabbing me the right way. I like a game to grab me by the balls and tickle my nose at the same time. In this game, well, it did neither. Number 96. Speaking of another game that a lot of horror game fanatics seem to rather enjoy, but I just couldn't get on with, was Post-Trauma. Now this is very much a Resident Evil ripoff, Silent Hill ripoff. I didn't find the narrative to be very engaging, and frankly, the game's puzzles were an absolute joke. When I say joke, I don't mean they were too easy. I mean, they were that kind of obscure puzzle that you might find in the original Silent Hill, like that bloody piano puzzle in the school. So I had to use a walkthrough to get through Post-Trauma, and I'm glad to say that I did. No, I'm not ashamed whatsoever. I have no idea what I was about to say there. I'm not ashamed whatsoever. When in doubt, get the walkthrough out. That's what I always say. Number 95. Anime Girls High School of Dead. Yes, that really is the title. Somehow they lost the word the. This is one of those roguelite games in which you pick your character, get dropped into a location. In this game's case, it's a high school. Then you'll be attacked by zombies and you'll see how long you'll survive. Frankly, the only reason this game is at number 95 and not 155 is because, you know, it was a fairly easy platinum trophy to earn. I didn't have to play the game for too long, and you know, I like shooting things. Especially when we get to play as a character in a school uniform. Who doesn't like that? No one asked you, Bertram. Number 94. None of your business. Again, just like Anime Girls High School of Dead, this is another of those roguelite games in which you get to pick a character and you get dropped into a location. But what makes this a slightly better game than High School of Dead is that there are several characters that you can choose from. And they're all fairly equally attractive, wearing, well, there's no way I can say this without sounding like some kind of pervert in someone's eyes, but they're all wearing very revealing outfits. You get to shoot winged demons, you get to shoot zombies, there's spiders, there's mummies, there's werewolves. So this game also has a much better enemy variety. And I did find myself playing this one far longer than I probably should have. The only reason for which is it's very difficult to masturbate when you're trying to play the game at the same time. What? Number 93. Faraway Train. This is a kind of first-person, kind of detective game. Lots of puzzles as we are aboard a train. I'm not sure if we ever figure out who our character is. There's some very lovely scenery there in the background. And the game does look pretty good. But all of the narrative is confined to the notes you find or some of the puzzle solutions. And that's not how you deliver a narrative to me. So by the end of the game, though I had earned a nice shiny platinum trophy, I was incredibly bored with the experience. Very much in the same way I don't like these roguelite games that have no narrative. I also don't like games that are just essentially puzzle games. Just doesn't work for me at all. But like I said, nice looking game. Number 92. Maniac. This was a little fun rip-off of Vampire Survivors, in which we get to choose from several characters. I think I chose a homicidal Santa Claus. You can drive vehicles around and run people over. You can find guns and gun them down. It's all an incredibly bad taste, and reminded me of that older video game Postal. But it plays very much like Vampire Survivors. For with a little bit of Hotline Miami thrown in for good measure, and I had a fairly decent time with this. Number 91. Is this game trying to kill me? Gotta say, I had rather high hopes for this game. I thought I was gonna experience a kind of first-person horror. While it is probably considered a first-person horror game, like Faraway Train, 90% of the gameplay in this one is made up of bloody puzzles and mini-games. And I've already explained why I don't like those kind of games, so I don't really want to repeat myself here. It was decent, but I didn't love it. Number 90, Romancing Saga Minstrel Song Remastered. And I have to tell you, dear viewers, I don't think I played a single Romancing Saga game that I actually liked. The game doesn't tell you where to go, what to do, so you have to kind of talk to townspeople. Oh, by the way, it's a JRPG, in case you hadn't figured that out. You have to go to towns and talk to people and hope that you can figure out where to go next and what to do. I absolutely despise the combat. I think this is a much older game, so that probably explains why I didn't really like the visuals. It's just not for me. You all know, I'm a Final Fantasy guy, or an action RPG guy. Number 89, the final simulator video game I have to talk about on this list. And actually one of my best performing videos this year, so thank you everyone. OnlyFans Simulator 2025. Or OF Model Simulator 2025. Whatever the hell the bloody thing is called. A day in the life of an OnlyFans model. You can take pictures of yourself, you can dress your character up, you can chat to perverted gentlemen online, all of that good shit. But while it's fun for a little while, you know, eventually, when you're finished, when you bin the napkins and the lotion, put the lotion away so your wife or husband doesn't see it, it's just not a very good game. But still, one of my better performing videos of the year, so thumbs up for that. Number 88. The first of 3 games that I believe were made with mostly pre-made assets and or AI. Fantasy Desire Anime Girl Saga. It'll take you about half an hour to finish. The combat is complete and utter donkey dick. And like I said, I believe that this game was mostly made with AI, especially considering that the anime opening cutscene in no way resembles what the actual game looks like. Shame on you, developer. Shame on you. And that takes us to number 87. Eros Zone Sensual Dawn. Another video that seems to be quite popular on my own channel. Well done, dear viewers. This is similar to the last game, but instead of having a fantasy anime aesthetic, this one has a sci-fi anime aesthetic. And just like the last game, perfectly playable, but just not very good. And it's just like one of so many games that just get dumped on the PlayStation Store these days. Much like number 86, Vampire Blood Dynasty. Now what places this one above the other 2 games that I just mentioned is the fact that there's an attempt at a narrative here. We play as a knight or a prince whose wife gets kidnapped on their wedding day. He gets murdered and then brought back as a vampire. The voice acting here is absolutely hilarious. If you want to hear any of that, you can hear some samples of it in the review I did for this game. But the platforming in this game is absolutely appalling. Appalling. Number 85. Action Cam Supernatural Case. And I actually found this game to be rather okay. A kind of first-person horror experience. We can shoot against the ghostly thing that seems to be pursuing us throughout. Not bad. Not good, but not bad. Number 84, Brotherhood. I don't really remember this game, dear viewers, but what I do remember of it is it's a kind of shooty game featuring brothers, I assume by the title of the game. Let's move quickly on to number 83, Demonic Supremacy. One of many Doom clones that we've seen over the years. Visually, this one is taking all of its cues from the much older Doom games as opposed to the 2016 Doom reboots onwards. And it was pretty okay. Number 82, Zombie Scream. This is one of those weird horror games in which we move from right to left and you'll see all manner of spooky shit happening in the background. There's not really much more to it than that. In fact, there's quite a few of these games on the old PlayStation Store, and I just so happen to have played all of the bloody things. It's very short, but if you want a very quick jump scare or two, you can do worse than this. Number 81, Berserk Boy, or as I like to call it, an indie budget version of Mega Man. And I don't really need to say much more to it than that. It's a fun little game. Number 80, Pop Slinger Volume 2 Loveless. This is a kind of side-scrolly, up-and-downy, shooty game with visuals that resemble 90s anime. And I actually quite liked this game when I played it. Doesn't mean I'll ever play the bloody thing again, or seek out the original game, which this is a sequel to apparently, but apart from that, you know. Number 79, Monstroscopy. This is essentially a beat-em-up in the vein of like Street Fighter, Tekken, but it has these kind of comic book visuals and lots of monsters. I don't remember a lot about it, but I remember going, ooh, I like the look of this game. I mean, I'm not going to invite it out to dinner or anything, but yes, it's a fairly good-looking game, yes. And I like a beat-em-up. Number 78, Space Adventure Cobra, The Awakening. This is a side-scrolling platformer, kind of, sort of, Metroidvania game inspired by that popular anime Space Adventure Cobra, or even the movie. I liked the movie, and I actually ended up quite liking this game. It actually features cutscenes from either the animated series or the movie. I don't know the anime that well enough to be able to identify if the cutscenes were from that or the movie. I'm gonna say the movie. I think it's from the movie. But anyway, if you like the anime, you might end up enjoying this. Number 77, Psycho Dream. Now this looks like a long-lost Sega Genesis / Mega Drive game. I don't know if it's just a re-release of an obscure, Japan-only Sega Genesis game, but this very heavily reminded me of things like Kid Chameleon and Strider and Shadow of the Beast. So if you're into your retro video games, you might enjoy this one like I did. Number 76, Twilight Parade, Moonlit Mononoke. This is a very colourful shmup-style video game. But instead of controlling a spaceship, you essentially control a little bitch on a broomstick. What? Did that sound rude? Oh, I didn't mean it to sound rude. I couldn't think of a better way to say it. I mean, I could have said, yes, we play as an animated character on a broomstick. That just didn't sound humiliating enough. Anyway, this is a very fun game. Reminded me of Cotton, if anyone's played that particular series, or Death Smiles. Now, Death Smiles I like. So if you like shmup games that are like those ones, you might enjoy this. Number 75, Resetna. This is essentially just another budget Metroidvania game. I don't remember very much about it. I just remember that it was very middling. You know, middling. Those kind of games that when you get to the end of the year, if you say the title out loud, you're kind of like, nah, I know I played it. I've got the trophies to prove I played it. But I don't remember very much about it. Number 74. The first free-to-play game on this list. And here we have Where Winds Meet, which actually started off very good in my opinion. I was really enjoying my time. Kind of like Ghost of Tsushima, just obviously not as good as that game. But then of course I ran into a very, very, very big problem which detracted from my enjoyment very much. And it's that you finish a quest and then the game helpfully tells you, guess what? You can't play the next story quest for another 2 days. Or in one case I'm sure it said 5 days. And obviously because I play games a lot, I play them for a long time. I like my marathon sessions, that didn't sit right with me. Being told, no, wait, you're playing the game too quickly. You're gonna have to wait a couple of days. That just wasn't enjoyable for me at all. I'll just take my single player Ghost of Tsushima ripoff, Ghost of Yutai, thank you very much. You can keep your free-to-play model if you're going to make me have to wait to progress through the game. Disappointing. Number 73, Broken Law, Low. Now this series of horror games is a very creepy one, but they are very, very, very short experiences. This one sees us moving through a kind of town in which we have to go to a meeting. We go to the meeting and then some very spooky shit starts to happen. We get pursued by a big massive creature. And then before you know it, the bloody thing's over. Very spooky though, as is number 72, Broken Law, Don't Watch. This one we are trapped in our apartments, someone keeps coming to the door. I actually found this to be quite a bit scarier than the previous Broken Law game. Something very frightening about someone knocking on your door and you have to look through that little peephole. Gets very weird later on in the experience, but all things considered, very good, and I'm looking forward to more of the Broken Law games that are coming out in 2026. Number 71, Blades of Fire. Probably my most disappointing game experience of the year. This game was made by the oh-so-talented chaps at Mercury Stream, who made 2 of my favourite Castlevania games of all time. Those being the Lords of Shadow games, so I was expecting something kind of similar here. But instead, I kind of got similar gameplay, but with a very Souls-like structure. And I absolutely despised the fact that you would create your weapon, then if you died, you would lose the weapon, and you would have to go back to where you died to pick your bloody weapon up again. Love the visuals, I like their combat system and their gameplay, but I absolutely hated the fact that they elevated the difficulty here. I just couldn't enjoy it in the end. Disappointing. Number 70, Maiden Corpse. This is another one of those Streets of Rage ripoffs, but with very colourful characters playing as anime girls. And for what I remember, it was a pretty fun time. Number 69, Cursed New Year. This is one of those first-person horror experiences, and I don't know why, but this one seemed to really get under my skin. Not a very long game, I think it took me about 25 minutes to finish, which, depending on how much the game costs, is probably not much of a recommendation, but for those 25 minutes I was actually quite scared moving around the house. Like you do in so many of these horror games. But for a bite-sized horror experience, you can do a lot worse. Number 68. She's Leaving. This was described as a Resident Evil style game, which I kind of see how you could think that. I mean, we do explore a kind of snowy village area, which reminded me of Resident Evil Village. There's a windmill, there's a scarecrow in a field. Most of the time in the game, though, is spent inside a kind of mansion house thing. Yes, you do have to find keys for doors and solve puzzles, so I can see where the Resident Evil comparison comes in. But at its core, this is just another one of those first-person horror games in which you will have a stalker of sorts who won't leave you alone for most of the game, who you can't kill. We do get given a taser, which kind of acts like a flashlight for us, and we can tase this stalker of ours, but like I said, no combat in the game, no boss fights. Not really Resident Evil after all, but I had a decent enough time with it. Number 67, The Phantom. You might be familiar with the 1996 movie starring Billy Zane, or maybe you're familiar with the old comic strip series. But either way, I'm a big fan of the Billy Zane movie, and I do happen to like my superhero comic strips. So playing a Streets of Rage clone set in that universe was right up my jacksie. I mean, right up my alley. I think a lot of people might not even know this game exists, which is a bit of a shame. I actually really enjoyed my time with it. Is it Streets of Rage? No, of course not. But it does have those kind of comic book visuals. But sadly, we will be talking about Streets of Rage beat-em-up style games that are just better than this one. Number 66, Angerfoot. Now this was quite a fun game. Playing as a kind of anthropomorphic creature, we have to retrieve our trainers, which have been stolen for reasons. So we kick down doors, we move through stages as quickly as possible, we shoot enemies, we discard our firearm, we pick up another firearm, we can of course kick the enemies. Very fun. Not a game that I would ever really be in the mood to go back to, but if you're looking for a laugh and some very fast gameplay, Angerfoot might just be the game for you. Number 65. Mandragora Whispers of the Witch Tree. This is a kind of 2D side-scrolling Souls-like experience, though thankfully it does come with difficulty options. And I actually really enjoyed this game. I don't fully remember why I enjoyed it. I know the combat played a big part in that. I think I really liked the story, though was able to guess who the eventual villain was going to be in the game rather quickly, but yes, I enjoyed my time with this one. Number 64, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate. I would say this is probably another game that slightly disappointed me this year on PlayStation. I adore video games based on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. What I don't enjoy so much are these roguelite games in which you have to somehow make your way through all the game stages without dying. Otherwise, you go right back to your little hub world thing and have to repeat the experience over and over and over again, hoping that you get better at the game or level up your character more. It's just, for me, not the ideal experience for a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. I like the Streets of Rage beat-em-up style games. I really enjoy some of the 3D games like Mutants in Manhattan or Out of the Shadows. But it's still a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. I still had a decent enough time with it. But if I'm going to play a Turtles game, I wouldn't play this one. Number 63, AI Limit. This came out very close to another video game we're going to talk about, which is much higher on this list. But AI Limit is a Souls-like game with a kind of anime sci-fi aesthetic. It didn't have the best story in the world, but I did enjoy my time with it. It's definitely not up there with my favorite Souls-like games of all time, especially anime Soul-like games of all time. Things like Code Vein. The upcoming Code Vein 2 looks amazing, so AI Limit couldn't quite compare to those games, in my mind anyway, in my humble opinion. But still a good one nonetheless. Number 62, High School Dirty Secrets. If you ever played the horror game White Day, a something called School, then you'll know exactly what you're in for here. We play as a schoolgirl, it's set in a high school. There's some kind of mystery that has to be solved. We have to find our way through the high school. There's a stalker that'll turn up every now and again to scare the shit out of you. I had a great time with this one. Number 61, Kinky Spiritual Affairs Bureau. Don't let the visuals for this game fool you, dear viewers. This was a very good third-person horror action type game, with a lead character who was incredibly funny. Kind of like Ghostbusters, but set in Japan, with a girl who insists on wearing a school uniform for reasons, and with firearms instead of proton packs. A subplot involving corruption within the agency that she works for. But another little indie horror game that I actually ended up really enjoying. Number 60, Eternal Evil. Now this game has a lot more in common with Resident Evil than the last game I was talking about. In this game there are zombies that we can take out, and there's plenty of them. And there's boss fights. And there's the usual find a key to open this door so you can progress, solve this puzzle to get this item which you put over there, to give you a key to then go over here and do this. I was actually quite impressed with this game, especially in how much it actually genuinely reminded me of a first-person Resident Evil experience. But I suppose that was supposed to be deliberate, you know, with a title like Eternal Evil. I see what you did there, game developer. It was not subtle whatsoever. Number 60, Christmas Mutilator. A game in which we have to get away from a psychopathic Santa Claus. Need I say more? This very much at the style of those puppet combo video games which I find so bloody terrifying. This one isn't quite so scary. There is a couple of very, very effective jump scares though. And while Christmas is over, that doesn't mean there isn't still time to get into a little Christmas horror game, of course. But even better than that game was number 58, Psychopathy Assessment. Now this game I thought was just going to be getting asked a whole bunch of questions, you answer them, and then maybe there'd be a jump scare or two, and then the game would end. No. In fact, the actual assessment part of the game is merely only the beginning. And I really enjoyed the direction in which the game goes, putting us into the shoes of a maybe not serial killer himself. I really liked this one. 'Tis just a shame though that there was a lot of games out this year and I couldn't put this game any higher, but still a very good one. Number 57, Tormented Souls 2. And yes, I know a lot of the horror fans out there will probably have this game a lot higher on their lists, but for me, this was just so damn similar to the original Tormented Souls, which doesn't make it a bad thing. But considering that I found the original Tormented Souls to be a very mediocre Resident Evil ripoff, even so much so that it plays very much like the older Resident Evil games as opposed to the much better over-the-shoulder action-focused games in the Resident Evil series that we've had in recent years. But this was still a very good old school survival horror experience, limited inventory, having to solve puzzles, find keys for doors. There's a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of nudity if you're into that kind of thing. Not the best horror game I played this year, and most definitely not the worst. Number 56, Sensuality Echo of Ada. 55, Painkiller. The latest in a long line of reboots / reimaginings for popular game series. This time it's Painkiller, the classic first-person demon-slaying video game. Though in all honesty, this one probably plays a little bit more like the more recent Doom games. So much so that it actually looks like those games. What makes it different, though, is that you can play this game in co-op with up to 3 other players, I believe. There's several characters to choose from. This wasn't a very popular game in the Painkiller community. And I have to say myself, I probably preferred Painkiller Hell and Damnation on the PlayStation 3, but I still found this to be a very entertaining horror first-person shooter Doom ripoff type experience. Lots of fun, especially if you play with people online. Just get their consent before playing with them. No one likes to be played with if they haven't given consent. Remember that, dear viewers. Number 54, Disney Illusion Island. This game came to PlayStation this year, and I do love me a Disney platformer, especially the old school ones on the Sega Mega Drive / Sega Genesis. But does this game compare to other Disney-type platformers like Castle of Illusion or World of Illusion? No. No, it doesn't. This game is much more of a Metroidvania-type game, which, as you all know, I'm very bored of Metroidvanias. I much prefer the more stage-based platformers. And also, you can't attack enemies in this game. There's no real boss fights to speak of. The boss fights in this game play more like puzzles you have to solve. You have to do this so the boss yes. Just nowhere near as good as World of Illusion or Castle of Illusion, but still a very good Disney platformer nonetheless. And there's a distinct lack of them these days. Number 53, Bad Cheese. What do you get when you combine an old school cartoon from the 1930s with a horror game? Well, you'll probably get Bendy and the Ink Machine. But apart from that series, you get Bad Cheese, a game that I really, really enjoyed. Because of those 2 things I love, is horror games and old school cartoons. Like I was kind of discussing with the whole loving Disney platformers thing. There's just something about a horror game having that Disney cartoon aesthetic that I just find utterly fascinating. In very much the same way as turning an old school cartoon into a Souls-like bloody platformer like Cuphead. There's just something about it. I absolutely love it. Number 52, Tomb Raider 4-6 Remaster. If you're a fan of the old school Tomb Raider games, and this is another collection just for you. Very much in the same vein as the original collection, which had Tomb Raider 1 through 3, this one has 4 through 6. And what I really loved about this collection is that they took one of the most hated Tomb Raider games, that being Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness, and they actually fixed it in my opinion. Implementing some cut content, fixing some of the more egregious issues with the original. And in fact, I would go so far to say that this collection is worth it just for Angel of Darkness alone. And in fact, and I know this will be a controversial opinion, it's my favorite game in this collection, so yeah. Number 51, I Am Your Beast. Very similar to Angerfoot or Angryfoot, whatever the hell it was called. In this one, we play as a special agent that's being called upon to do one last mission, but he's sick and tired of the whole thing, so he essentially tells his boss to stick his job up his arse and his boss doesn't take that very well and tries to convince him by sending all of his goons after him. So this is another one of those get through the stage as quick as you can type games where you'll be able to shoot enemies and jump and shoot enemies and kick enemies and punch enemies and disarm bombs over here and throw grenades over there. Very fun experience. And for some reason it kind of sort of reminded me of that game 13, which is a game I adore, might I just say here. So yes, very good. Number 50. Ooh, exciting, into our top 50 now. Bleach, Rebirth of Souls. Very much in the vein of some of the other anime video game adaptations, like some of the Dragon Ball games and probably more specifically the Naruto games. This is essentially a beat-em-up style game in which you'll go through some of the plot arcs from the manga and or animated series. And very much like the Naruto games, I really enjoy these anime adaptation games. Especially when they maybe add a storyline or two that aren't part of the official manga. Lots of fun indeed. Number 49. Agatha Christie's Death on the Nile. Just like last year's Murder on the Orient Express, this is another video game starring Hercule Poirot. This time set in the 1970s, you'll have to solve a very elusive mystery aboard a ship crossing, you guessed it, the River Nile. So this is a murder mystery. You'll interrogate suspects, look for clues. There's a second playable character that actually has a storyline that doesn't feature in the Agatha Christie novel, so that was quite exciting. And I really enjoy these murder mystery adventure type video games, like the Sherlock Holmes games from Frogwares. The Devil's Daughter, Last Testament of Sherlock Holmes, Sherlock Holmes the Awakened, Sherlock Holmes vs. Jack the Ripper. Love them all. So if you're a murder mystery or true crime fan, then you might have a very good time with Agatha Christie's Death on the Nile. Just, don't have too good a time in the game, you understand. It's not really that kind of game. Pull your trousers up. Number 48. Full Metal Schoolgirl. This kind of falls under that category of roguelike video game, but it very much reminded me of something like Unicambra, you know, with those anime graphics. A cast made up of mostly female schoolgirls, a lot of weaponry, over-the-top action. Very, very enjoyable if you're into that kind of thing. And I actually didn't mind the roguelike elements so much in this game for some reason or other. Probably because the game was so damn fun. Number 47. Borderlands 4. This might be the first AAA game on this list. And yes, Borderlands 4 wasn't received the best, I want to say. Though I didn't actually look at a lot of reviews. And if I had to sum it up, this is just more of exactly the bloody same. And that's probably what landed it at number 47 on my list. Definitely not a top 10 game or a top 20, top 30. No. My opinion, top 50 type game. But who knows, I might go back to it and decide that it's my favorite Borderlands game after all. I mean, I highly doubt that, but, you know, stranger things have happened. They made 5 seasons of the damn thing, for God's sake. You know, stranger things have happened. Yeah, I'm sure you got the joke. Number 46. The Rocky Horror Show video game. Now, there's probably 3 things I really enjoy, dear viewers. Platformer video games, stage musicals, and video games based on stage musicals and or movies. And that's exactly what this game is. It's a very retro-looking, old-school platformer that goes through the events of the Rocky Horror Show, or the Rocky Horror Picture Show if you're used to seeing the movie. And the soundtrack is made up of these 8-bit retro-sounding adaptations of all of the movie's most famous songs. And while I'm not the greatest lover of old school platformers and all of their difficulty, I absolutely love this game. Speaking of movie adaptations, number 45, Terrifier, the arcade game. Very much a Streets of Rage style beat 'em up, or more recently, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, but in the universe of Terrifier, that oh so crazy killer clown. So as to be expected, this plays very much like a Streets of Rage game, but it has a hell of a lot of gratuitous violence. And I actually really appreciated a lot of the Easter eggs in the game, who some of the boss fights were against, because I'm such a fan of the movies. In fact, I don't think it's a spoiler, though it might be a spoiler to tell you that you actually fight the director and creator of the Terrifier franchise in this video game. I mean, inspired! Number 44, Dead Reset. I've always been a fan of FMV, interactive movie video games, and Dead Reset was my absolute favorite one that I played this year. Taking inspiration from Alien, The Thing, there's a little bit of H.P. Lovecraft in there, Event Horizon. Though you could tell they were working with a pretty limited budget, I really enjoyed the death scenes in this game, the creature effects, and the narrative itself, which has a kind of Groundhog Day inspiration. So if you like your FMV video games and you haven't played this one yet, then what the hell are you waiting for? You just got a recommendation from me. That means more than anything. Number 43, The Last Case of John Morley. This is a first-person detective horror experience in which we play as a private detective who gets hired by a client to, well, to tell you that would be to spoil the story, but I really enjoyed this game. Seeing how the narrative played out, especially the big twist ending, which I really enjoyed. The visuals here are great, the exploration is great. The puzzles weren't too tricky to solve, which I always enjoy, and actually made me feel smart for a change. Again, another great game, just too bad I couldn't place it higher, but that just means that there's lots of good games to talk about going forward. Number 42, Daemon Ex Machina Titanic Scion. I've seen people compare this game to Zone of the Enders, and they're kind of right, and kind of not right. Because this isn't called Zone of the Enders, it's called Daemon Ex Machina. This is actually a sequel to a Nintendo Switch exclusive title. We take command of a mech suit, we shoot enemies, we explore a kind of sort of open world, we go on missions. Great fun. Number 41. While we still patiently wait for that Sands of Time remake, this year we got The Rogue Prince of Persia. And I really, really enjoy the Prince of Persia series. And this one, like the most recent Prince of Persia game, is of the 2D side-scrolling variety. Though while that last game was a kind of sort of Metroidvania, this game is essentially a roguelite. And just like so many other games on this list, lots of fun. Not a top 30 game or anything, but I had a very good time with it. Number 41, Possessors. Speaking of Metroidvanias, this was actually a game that when I first played and reviewed it, I didn't like it very much. I was kind of burned out on Metroidvanias. But I went back to the game more recently, gave it another playthrough, and I much enjoyed it the second time around. Don't get me wrong, still not one of my favorite Metroidvanias of all time or anything. But I really enjoyed the story here. The graphics are rather unique. The animations. I still find it a bit annoying trying to figure out where to go, what to do, but that's just the nature of Metroidvania games. So yes, at some point I will have to update my review for Possessors. But until then, here it is, number 41 on my list. Number 40, Absalom. The best roguelite game I played this year. And in fact, I was able to get through this roguelite without dying. So I was able to get through it my first time. In fact, there's a video on that very thing on this channel. Yes, the game does give you difficulty options, and you can turn down how much damage the enemies do, how much health you have. But if the game lets me take advantage of it, you can bet your ass I'm taking advantage of it. Because my least favorite thing in a Metroidvania there, in a roguelike game is to get to the final section of the game, the final stage, die, and then have to do the whole bloody thing over again. I don't have time for that. I mean, for God's sake, I played over 130 new release games this year. Not to mention the amount of other games I played. So yes, my favorite roguelike game of the year, unless I have somehow snuck another one onto this list, was indeed Absalom. The graphics are great, the gameplay is fantastic, I really like the story, and it is definitely a game that I'll download again and go back through several more times. Lots of fun. Number 38. No, 39. No, 38. No, 39. 39. Terminal Brigade. Another free-to-play video game that's made it onto my list. Playing very much like a third-person shooter a la Warframe, just with an anime aesthetic. And this one, unlike a lot of free-to-play games, actually has a nice, decent narrative. I mean, there's no cutscenes, which kind of lets it down a little bit. It still has that same problem from a lot of free-to-play games that they want you to buy this or buy that or buy an XP booster, and I just completely refuse to do it. But I had a great time with this one. Number 37, Crystal of Atlan. Our last free-to-play game that's made it onto this list, and this time it's a JRPG. Not only that, it's an action-focused JRPG, my absolute favorite. Now, it's been quite some time since I played this one, so they probably added a lot more content to it by now, but when I did originally play it, I pretty much played all of the story content that was available at that time. So this is definitely a game I'll have to dip back into, see what they've added. But if you like your JRPGs, you got no excuse not to download this. It's completely free. Number 36. 37. No, 36. 30, whatever. Double Dragon Revive. A little reboot / reimagining of the Double Dragon series brought to us by those so talented chaps who make that particular beat-em-up series whose name is eluding me at this very moment. But this is the best looking Double Dragon game I've ever played. Though I do kind of like the aesthetics of Double Dragon Neon, maybe just a little bit more. But this is Double Dragon you know and love. Side-scrolling beat-em-up action, picking up weapons, using food to heal, several characters you can choose to play as. If you like this style of game, then you can't go wrong with this. Number 35. Alien Rogue Incursion Part 1. And this is the non-VR version that finally came to PlayStation this year. And for me, this very much acts as a more action-focused version of Alien Isolation. It very much looks like it was developed by the same team. It's got the same kind of aesthetic. A lot of the visuals look very similar, but this time there's a lot more xenomorphs, and you don't have to worry about sneaking past the bastards because you can just shoot them. And trust me, an alien game where you get to shoot the aliens is always good in my book. And yes, that even includes Colonial Marines. Please don't click off the video, I didn't mean it, Colonial Marines is shit. Next up we have Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. Now, I've never been a fan of the original Bloodlines, the more RPG aspects of that game, so it didn't bother me one jot when I discovered that this game, Bloodlines 2, abandons all of the RPG elements of the original. To be honest, I was quite glad of it. So instead, we get a kind of action-focused vampire sim here, but still has choices you can make in the game. We play flashback sequences as a private detective. I mean, for God's sake, we get to play a vampire in this. That was enough for me. I actually had a really good time with this game. It's definitely not one I would replay every single year, but I'm sure I'll pick the game up again just to go back through the story. And like I said, the main thing for me was, the thing that everyone complained about, didn't bother me, because that's actually all the stuff I didn't like about the original Bloodlines. Snakes and roundabouts. I think that expression makes sense here. I'm sure it does, Bertram, I'm sure it does. Next up we have Let It Die Inferno. A rather controversial game on this list. I really didn't know where to place it. On one hand, I really love Suda51 games. I adore the cutscenes at the beginning of this game. I enjoy the overall narrative, the madcap comedy. But on the other hand, I absolutely detest the fact that if you die, you go all the way back to the beginning and have to make your way back forward. But I don't know, it's a game that has grown on me steadily since I made my review, just like Possessor, so this is another game I'm probably going to have to go back in and do a new review or do some new content for. Next up we have Neon Inferno. Classic run and gun gameplay, two badass characters you can choose from, a kind of cyberpunk neon, futuristic aesthetic. Lots of action, non-stop action in fact. Amazing boss fights, very much in the vein of Gunstar Heroes. Metal Slug. If you really enjoy these kind of games, then you'll absolutely adore this one. Number 32, Split Fiction. The absolute best co-op game that this developer has ever made. The only reason it's here on the list is because you cannot play the game solo. And as a mostly solo gamer, that kind of makes it rather frustrating that I can't just pick up the game and go back through the story whenever I want. But doesn't take away from the fact that this is an absolutely fantastic game. We play as one of two characters depending on who you choose to play as. Like I said, you have to play this game with someone else, so they'll always control the other character. Going through mystery worlds the way the game's able to have you 1 minute in a fantasy realm, then in a sci-fi futuristic realm, to the point where it actually starts fusing these two world styles together in very exciting ways. There's combat, there's environmental puzzle solving. It's an absolutely fantastic game. Lots of nice character moments, excellent writing, amazing visuals on PS5. I can't recommend this game enough. Number 30. Now, this is exciting, getting into the top 30 now. Or should I say, number 31. I've lost count. We're just going to continue anyway. Echoes of the End. A third-person action-adventure game that I don't think made much of a splash when it came out this year. But being a big fan of Uncharted games in that vein, I really enjoyed this one. Reminded me of Immortals of Abium, though that game is a first-person game and this is a third-person game. Some nice banter here with a character that joins us a little bit later in our quest. Had slight vibes of Forspoken for me, a game that I really enjoy. And in fact, they recently made a lot of improvements to the game, and I've still to go through it again, so I'll have to write that in my diary. Next up we have Chronicles of the Wolf, which I think, unless I'm very much mistaken, was my favourite Metroidvania-style video game of the year. Just imagine Symphony of the Night, but with werewolves instead of vampires. Though, a vampire does turn up in this game. It has those old school Symphony of the Night visuals. Metroidvania, so you're gonna have to backtrack through areas quite often, get new power-ups so you can progress. Epic boss fights, multiple endings. You know exactly what you're in for here if you played a Metroidvania before. So if you like your Metroidvanias more horror-themed, you can't go wrong with this one. Next up we have, probably higher on my list than most people would place it, House of the Dead 2 Remake. And what can I say? I absolutely adore the House of the Dead games. They're just, for me, they're just fun. Does this game look horrible as a remaster/remake? Yes. Do I agree with the fact that they changed the very cheesy voice acting of the older game for, frankly, equally bad voice acting? No, you should have just kept the voice acting from the old game, especially for Goldman, who is giving me some comedy gold, man, over the years. Get it? I'm sure you got it. So no, they shouldn't have changed the voice acting, but I don't mind the visuals in this remake. Though frankly, even if they had just released the old game on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, I probably would have enjoyed it just as much, so here we are. Next, a game that's probably a lot higher on other people's lists, we have Shinobi Art of Vengeance. And I maybe have made a little bit of a boo-boo when I said that Chronicles of the Wolf would be the last Metroidvania we would talk about on this list. And that's because Shinobi Art of Vengeance is also kind of a Metroidvania. And it's actually what made me not love this game as much as I wanted to. The visuals are amazing. I absolutely love the combat. I love the gameplay. I love the boss fights. It's an absolutely fantastic Shinobi game. Probably the best one they've ever made. Though I do really enjoy Shinobi on the PlayStation 2 and the 3DS one. But I don't know, it just for me got bogged down by being a bloody Metroidvania. Having to look for this power-up so you could go into this stage. I don't know. Still pretty high on the list though. Still not denying that doesn't make it an absolutely fantastic Shinobi game. I just wanted it to be better. Speaking of wanted it to be better, next we have Chronos: The New Dawn, which was being marketed as a kind of sort of Dead Space clone, and that's really not what the game is at all. In fact, I found the narrative here and the combat to be less thrilling than Dead Space, more philosophical, more like something along the lines of, I don't know, Soma? Not in gameplay, of course, but in its overall story. I really enjoyed this when I first played it, then I played it again, and gradually every time that I played it, I kind of get to a point where I'm like, I would much rather be playing Dead Space, or I would much rather be playing a more action-focused horror game. But still, Chronos: The New Dawn, not my favourite from Bloober Team. After all, they made the Silent Hill 2 remake, The Medium, which I think are superior games to this in every way. But Chronos: The New Dawn, still damn good. The most controversial game on my list we have up next, Mind's Eye. A game that everyone seemed to just take a dump on. So much so that I would think it would be absolutely impossible to find a copy of this game without getting your hands dirty. Because so many people have taken a... Yes, you got that one as well. But I don't know. Kind of plays like Grand Theft Auto a little bit. Although probably plays more like Watch Dogs. I really enjoy Watch Dogs. I really enjoyed the story here. I didn't run into any game-breaking bugs or glitches or anything like that. And let's not forget, Cyberpunk 2077, when it released, was a complete and utter unplayable piece of trash, and people still gave that a 10 out of 10, so I'm allowed to have Mind's Eye on my list, goddammit. And I really enjoyed it. Will I play it again? I probably will, because I like these kind of games. Get in the car, tell this person, shoot this person, go into this warehouse and take everyone. I love it. I love these kind of games. Sleeping Dogs, Grand Theft Auto, Watch Dogs. So I had a great time with this. Next up we have Bye Sweet Carol. What happens when you take some of those animated movies from the 1990s and turn them into a point-and-click style adventure game with horror elements? Developed by the chap who brought us the Remothered series of video games. Well, you get Bye Sweet Carol. Now, this is not going to be for everyone. It's not exactly an action game. You don't run around with a gun and shoot anyone. But being a massive fan of animated movies like Anastasia, Ferngully, as well as being a big fan of Chris Darrell's Remothered games, this game was almost perfect for someone like me. And I really wanted to place it higher on the list, but just too many good games came out this year, I guess. But if you like your animated movies infused with a nice central mystery, an absolutely wonderful soundtrack, then I suggest you give Bye Sweet Carol a go right now. Well, not right now, because you're watching this right now, but at your earliest convenience. Next up we have Hotel Barcelona, co-developed by Suda51 and Swery. This is essentially a 2.5D or 2D, whatever the hell you call it, side-scrolling platformer game in which you go through stages, fight against bosses modeled after very famous horror characters. There's one that resembles Jason Voorhees, for example. There's another one that's kind of like Leatherface. In between levels, you go through a hotel filled with madcap, weird, eccentric characters. And I've always enjoyed Suda51's video games like No More Heroes, Killer is Dead, the upcoming Romeo is a Dead Man, as well as Sweaty's very own Deadly Premonition, one of my absolute favourite video games of all time. So this game is weird, it's eccentric. It's got some nice platforming, combat, very much in the hack and slash vein, levels and bosses based off of famous horror characters. Honestly, you cannot go wrong with this one. Next up we have Demon School, very much in the style of the older Persona games. We basically go through a school term, I can't remember if it's a year. But supernatural things are going on, so in between class you have to go off and fight against demons and gangsters. You'll have to bond with your teammates and your classmates. You'll do that by going to karaoke or maybe cooking for them or fishing. There's lots of side quests. The combat here is actually a style I don't usually appreciate, that being tactical RPG style. I think I said that wrong. But this game streamlines tactical RPGs to the point that I actually found it very enjoyable. And I will just say here, it doesn't hurt to use a walkthrough that tells you all the moves to make in the fight. Not saying I did that, but I came out at the end of the game and I really, really enjoyed this one. So that's all that matters, really. Next up, we have Call of Duty Black Ops 7. And yes, I know, another one that people didn't seem to like this year. And even I myself detest the fact that they made the campaign to be played in co-op. Because someone like me who maybe doesn't have anyone they can call upon to play alongside them, which is why I had to play Split Fiction solo in the list as I did. But I'm experienced enough with Call of Duty campaigns and I enjoy them enough that I was able to get through this game's campaign fairly easily on my own. I say fairly easily because obviously some of the boss fights in this are an absolute pain in the arse and are definitely tailored to be played with more than one player. But being a fan of Call of Duty campaigns, I can't say I didn't enjoy this one. Though I can say there was definitely a military shooter campaign that I preferred to this one, and that would be Battlefield 6. Just take everything I said about Black Ops 7, take away the fact you have to play the campaign in co-op, and you'll have my thoughts for Battlefield 6. A very good campaign, lots of action set pieces, nice graphics. I don't touch the multiplayer, so I don't even have to factor that into my score for this game. And like I said, if you want more in-depth thoughts for all of these games, obviously I'm having to go through this quite quickly because I have a lot of games to talk about and my voice is failing me. You'll find videos for every single game on this list on the channel. Next up we have Silent Hill F, a game that when I first played it I thought was going to be much higher on this list, top 10 at least, but the more that I replayed it, the more it's kind of gradually started to drop. Or games have came out after it that I think are better than it. This is still a very good Silent Hill experience, though I do wish it had more to do with the older Silent Hill games. Yes, I do understand that the medicine in this game is made from the same kind of flower that the bloody thing in the first game is made from. Blah. If you know all your Silent Hill lore, it just didn't feel like a Silent Hill game, especially, and I'm not going to spoil it, when you get to a certain point in the game in which your character goes through, shall we call it a transformation of sorts? Then it definitely doesn't feel like a Silent Hill game. But the main thing that holds this game back is its combat. And I'm sure everyone has said that, so I'm not going to be any different. The combat in this game just isn't very good. It's got better. It's definitely better when you play the game on New Game Plus. You know, when your character has upgraded and you've got access to weapons earlier, when you can skip over certain sequences, that definitely alleviates a lot of that. But for a first playthrough, it's more than just a little frustrating, the combat encounters in this game, especially considering that, unlike the older Silent Hill games in which you could pretty much run past every single enemy unless they were a boss fight or a scripted fight, in this game, most of the fights are scripted fights, so you kind of have to kill the enemy to then move on. This becomes very annoying towards the end of the game when they just throw hundreds, thousands, millions of enemies at you at the same time. Yes, I'm exaggerating, I know that. But Silent Hill F, still a good Silent Hill game. Not my favorite. I'm not going to tell you what my favorite is because you'll click off the video right away. But let's just say Silent Hill F isn't my favorite. Still good though. Still good. Next up we have Marvel Cosmic Invasion, the best side-scrolling beat-em-up video game thingamajig that I played this year. And of course it would be. Made by those talented chaps who made Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. So many Marvel characters we can play as. Spider-Man, Captain America, Iron Man, etc., etc. Has a nice storyline that hasn't really been explored in any animated series or Marvel movie that I can think of. Definitely not the Marvel movies. Get to face off against a lot of my favorite Marvel villains like Venom and Galactus, Thanos. Absolutely, pardon the pun, marvelous video game. Next up we have Lost Soul Aside, another game that is probably higher on my list than it would be in most other people's. And I don't know what to say. A game that very much plays like a little bit of Devil May Cry, a little bit of Nier, a little bit of Drakengard, a nice action RPG. You can't go wrong for me. I really enjoyed this game. Of course, it doesn't compare to some of the other action games we got this year, some of which I'm still to talk about. But on its own merit, this is a very good action RPG. Reminded me a lot of a game called Solstice, a game that I think a lot of people also didn't like. And Forspoken, a game that I know people didn't like. But for me, this was a very fun, enjoyable action RPG, and I played through it countless times already, and I'll probably continue to do so. Most notably because it reminds me of some of my favorite Final Fantasy games. Those being Final Fantasy 15, Final Fantasy 16, which as we all know were more action-based RPGs. And I'm sorry, but that's always going to be my favorite kind of RPG. So, Lost Soul aside, splendid game. Next up we have Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, which very interestingly came out around the same time as Shinobi Art of Vengeance. And while this game is graphically equal to Shinobi, the combat is equally as good as Shinobi's. What this game has that Shinobi didn't really have is 1, a better story, and 2, it's not a Metroid Bloody Mania. So it just makes this game more replayable for me. I was more invested in the story, in the characters. I really liked trying to get the true final boss in this game. I just had an absolute blast with this game, as I do with most of the Ninja Gaiden games. So that's why, to me, this was superior to Shinobi. Though, if you say that Shinobi was better for you, I won't argue with that either. Snakes and roundabouts. I'm still sure that's the expression. No, Bertram, don't even correct me if I'm wrong. If I think that's the expression, then that's what we're going with. Next, we have Terminator 2D, No Fate. An absolutely fantastic adaptation of Terminator 2 in the form of a retro-inspired running gun platformer kind of sort of video game. Not only do we get to play through some of the best events of the movie, but we also get to play through sequences we didn't see in the movie, like Sarah Connor infiltrating Skynet, getting caught and then thrown in the asylum, several stages set in the future war, explaining how they were able to reprogram a Terminator and send him back in time. Absolutely fantastic, not only as a movie adaptation video game, something which is quite rare these days, and I've already said I really enjoy movie licensed video games, for better and for worse, but also just a fantastic retro-inspired video game in its own right. Next we have Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, which finally came to PlayStation 5 this year. And what can I really say about this game? It takes the action-adventure third-person perspective of the original game, does away with a lot of the more mental health focused aspects of the original game. This time it's very much a story of revenge. The graphics are absolutely fantastic here. It's got a lot of the similar gameplay to the original, including some of the more environmental-based puzzles, lining up lines to make a shape and all that kind of bollocks. But what I can definitely say is if you enjoy the original Hellblade, you're absolutely going to love this one. If you don't like the original Hellblade, then maybe this one won't do enough to convert or convince you to play it. And yes, I know it's been out on Xbox for a very long time, but it only came out on PlayStation this year, and in my mind that makes it a new release, ergo it goes on the list. Next up we have Doom the Dark Ages, and I can just say that I really love the rebooted Doom series. I don't like the older Doom games. You know, Doom, Doom 2, Doom 64. I do enjoy Doom 3 though. Probably for the same reason I really enjoy the reboot series and the fact it doesn't look like the old games. That old 90s pixelated garbage with no real story and no cutscenes. So I really enjoy the Doom Reboot series, 2016, Doom Eternal, and now we have Doom the Dark Ages, which is a kind of sort of prequel. Not only do we get to shoot the hell out of demons, we also have a shield with serrated blades all round it that we can throw at the enemies and break their shields with it. But the gameplay I love from Doom Eternal and Doom 2016 is present and correct here. And that's why it's this high on my list. Next up we have Onimusha 2, Samurai's Destiny Remaster. And I really love the Onimusha video games from Capcom, mixing the kind of Resident Evil horror elements with action combat. Absolutely wonderful series of video games. And while Onimusha 2 is probably my least favorite game in the original series, that doesn't make it a bad game. And while yes, I probably would have preferred a remake as opposed to just simply a remaster, this is still a damn good remaster. Here's hoping next we get Onimusha 3. In time for the new Onimusha game coming out next year. One of my most anticipated games of 2006. I was about to say 2066. If I'd said that, that would have meant we had gone into the future. I don't think we've gone into the future. I mean, I can't look out the window to see if we've... Bertram, have we gone into the future? Actually, Bertram, don't answer that. I'm gonna finish this video first. Then you can tell me if we've gone into the future or not. No, the new Onimusha game, one of my most anticipated games of 2026. Another remaster next, or should I say remake, with Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. The same story we know and love, the same voice acting that we know and love. There's no new surprises in the story, but this is still a fantastic remake. The visuals are amazing. The little tweaks that they made to the gameplay are fantastic, but this is still Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, for all intents and purposes. So if you really enjoy that game, then you're going to really enjoy this remake. And this is the best way to play Snake Eater now. Unless, of course, you're one of those video game purists that believes you have to play the original version. In that case, you'll probably still have your PlayStation 2 copy of Snake Eater. Enjoy playing that while I play the glorious PlayStation 5 version. Next up, we have Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. The latest entry in one of my absolute favorite video game series of all time, that being the Yakuza games. And this game would probably be classed more of a spin-off than an actual official entry. We play as that eye patch wearing lunatic from the other Yakuza games. There are some nice cameos in here. I really enjoy the pirate theme to the gameplay, where it's almost like this is all in that lunatic's mind. All the enemies look like pirates, and there's moves involving bloody great white sharks, and we have a ship. It's just glorious fun. Most of the Yakuza games, even with their very serious stories or subject matter, the combat, though, what we do outside of the serious moments is always so damn fun. And that's what this game is. In fact, that's probably most of what the rest of the games on this list is. Just escapism, fun, everything I absolutely adore about video games. Speaking of which, next up we have Ghost of Yotai, which would probably also be considered a spin-off game as opposed to a full-fledged sequel. Playing very much like Ghost of Tsushima, but obviously we play as a completely different character. And this is also a revenge story of sorts. But all of the action set pieces and the combat that we know and love from Ghost of Tsushima is present and correct here. I really enjoyed the story. I shed more than 1 tear, or 10 tears probably. Actually, how many tears do we shed when we cry? I will have to consult Wikipedia when I'm finished with this. But anyway, Ghost of Yotei, absolutely fantastic. I don't think there's really anything I can say that's going to convince anyone to play it, because everyone's probably already played it or refused to play it. And like I've already said several times already, if you want to hear all my in-depth thoughts on these games, you can check out all the videos I have on the channel. And very much in a similar vein to Ghost of Yotei, up next we have Assassin's Creed Shadows, which does everything great that Ghost of Yotei does, but it gives us two playable characters, each with their own unique play styles, and of course it's set in the Assassin's Creed universe. This is another game that was just pure escapism, absolutely fun. Love playing as both of the characters, the more ninja type versus the more samurai type. I don't engage in the controversy that emerged from this game surrounding one of the main characters. That doesn't interest me whatsoever, whether it's realistic, whether he was actually like that, whether he was a samurai or not. I could care less. This is a video game. I'm here to enjoy the story, the gameplay, the combat, all of that good shit. And did I enjoy Assassin's Creed Shadows? Of course I did! It's in my top 10 favourite games of this year! Next up we have RoboCop Rogue City Unfinished Business. And yes, some people may call this DLC, but as far as I'm concerned, it came on its own disc. I don't think you can load it from Rogue City, so that makes this a standalone expansion, at worst. Again, not a full-fledged sequel to Rogue City. This is a much smaller experience that very heavily reminded me of the movie Dread. Especially in the fact that we spend the whole of the game in this kind of high-rise building, which each, has all its different sectors. Poor people live here, drug dealers live here, the rich people live closer to the top, blah, blah, blah. And if you're a fan of RoboCop Rogue City, well, you have probably already played this game already. Fantastic boss fights, fantastic gunplay. We have the wonderful Peter Weller back voicing RoboCop. Obviously, this isn't as long as Rogue City, but that's why it would probably be considered an expansion, so don't let that put you off, dear viewers. If you have yet to play this game, and you call yourself a RoboCop fan, well, you can't call yourself a RoboCop fan if you've not already played this. Shame on you, you non-RoboCop fan, you. Next up, we have Gears of War Reloaded. Another game series that I absolutely adore. Pretty much gave birth to the third-person cover-based shooter kind of game. Such fond memories of playing the original Gears of War all the way back in 2006 on my Xbox 360, and now I get to play the original game, completely remade for the Well, technically it was first remade for the Xbox One, and this is technically a remake of that remake, though it pretty much is exactly the same as that remake. You know, the Gears of War Ultimate Edition that was on Xbox One. But anyway, presented here on PlayStation 5 in all of its wonderful glory. And I just hope they port across more of the Gears of War games. Get those games remade. Even if it's just the original trilogy, because that original trilogy is absolutely bloody fantastic. Lots of fantastic set pieces, lots of action, lots of shooting. If you like your third-person shooters, then Gears of War is definitely one of the best. Next up, we have the first Berserker Kazan, the absolute best Souls-like game I played in 2025. With that anime aesthetic that I was talking about earlier from games like Code Vein, this game absolutely hooked me. It didn't matter how many times I died to a particular boss, it didn't matter how many times I had to replay a certain area or stage, I just kept going. So much so that my first playthrough for this game was actually in excess of 140 hours. And to get me to play a Souls-like for that long just to do one playthrough, you have to be doing very good. I absolutely love the story here, absolutely love the visuals. This was also from that developer I was talking about earlier that made that beat-em-up series that I can't really remember the name of right now. Lots of side quests, lots of weapons to either craft or obtain. Lots of different builds for your character. You played a Souls-like game, you know exactly what you're getting here. But in my personal opinion, the first Berserker Kazan is better than anything From Software has ever done. And yes, that even includes Bloodborne. And I absolutely love Bloodborne. So if I'm saying this is better than Bloodborne, that means I really like this game. Into the top 5 now. Ooh, this is exciting. Here's hoping my voice holds out. And at number 5 we have Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Not a surprise really for anyone who knows me, knows how much I love the Uncharted video games. And this very much plays like an Uncharted game. Even so much it's got Troy Baker playing Indiana Jones here. But instead of a third-person game, this is played in a first-person perspective. I couldn't think of the word there. Telling a brand new Indiana Jones story. And I just love every single second with this game. Whether it be the sections we play as Indy, when he's more the professor character and we're trying to uncover clues in a monastery. Or the sections where we're, going in whip blazing, guns blazing as Indiana Jones. There's a wonderful tutorial / opening to the game which recreates one of the more famous scenes from the Indiana Jones movie franchise. This is an absolutely fantastic action-adventure game. And better yet, there's even DLC that they released, which is a whole new campaign. Again, it's DLC, so it's not as long as the main game. Wonderful platforming, amazing set pieces, amazing action. Tony Todd is here in one of his final roles. This is an amazing game. I want to play this game again right bloody now. Next up we have Ninja Gaiden 2 Black. And yes, it does count on this list because it's a remake and it released this year and it's on PlayStation 5. So this is a remake of the original version of Ninja Gaiden 2, not the Sigma version that you might be more familiar with if you had it on PlayStation 3. So you're essentially missing out on a couple of additional boss fights they added into that version. But I think that the overhaul they've done to the graphics here, this is a full-blown remake. I think they used the same voice acting. I could be wrong on that, but I think they did just keep the voice acting exactly the same. But the visuals have been completely overloaded. Obviously the game runs at a much higher frame rate. That makes the action all the more better. This is a hack and slash video game, one of my absolute favorite video game subgenres of all time, and I'm going to prove that again in a few minutes. But if you love your Ninja Gaiden 2, you really need to play this. This is a definitive way to play Ninja Gaiden 2. Yes, it is a bit of a shame we didn't get those extra boss fights from the Sigma version of the game, like the bloody Statue of Liberty. But that was a small price to pay to get our first Ninja Gaiden PS5 game this year. Now these top 3, I have changed my mind on day in, day out. They've all changed position at some point. They will probably change their position tomorrow. But as of today, this is the top 3 I have decided on. So number 3 goes to Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Now this is how you do a turn-based it's not a JRPG, turn-based RPG. This is an absolutely wonderful game. Everything about this is absolutely top class, be it the visuals, the absolutely amazing soundtrack, the exploration, which feels more like Uncharted, that kind of third-person action game. The combat is phenomenal, one of the most unique combat systems I've ever played in an RPG, where it basically is turn-based, but it mixes in a lot of elements from action RPGs like counter-attacking and blocking and parrying, all of that good stuff. You can use a gun to shoot at enemies' weak points. This, honestly, it's just an absolutely fantastic game with a very emotional story. I cry every single time I play this game, especially at and I'm not going to spoil it, a certain character's abrupt death at the end of Act 1, which I must admit when I first played the game, I couldn't quite believe was happening. This is just... Most people are probably going to have this as their number one. Like I said, my mind changes day in, day out, so if you ask me tomorrow, I might say Expedition 33 is my number one of the year. But as of today, it is number 3, and it has earned its place by being one of the absolute best video games of 2025. Not only that, but one of the best video games ever. Period. Number 2. Like I said, the positioning may change in the future, but as of today, my number 2 for 2025 is Death Stranding 2 on the Beach. I'm a massive Hideo Kojima fan. I absolutely love the original Death Stranding. Yes, I enjoyed all of the what people would call the boring sections where you're hauling cargo. I found it kind of relaxing, but what really drew me in that game was the combat that I enjoyed engaging in. I know you could probably stealth your way through, but I always engaged in the combat. And of course, the storyline. Uniting America. The villains. The main one coming back in this sequel, voiced absolutely wonderfully by Troy Baker in this game. One of his best performances ever. He's got an electric guitar, he sings. It leads to some very over-the-top boss fights, especially the final boss, which is just... I can't even put into words how good it is. So this game's got action, it's got a very emotional story. It deals with loss, it deals with coming together. This game is just bigger. Better than the original Death Stranding, which I think is what a sequel is supposed to be. Phenomenal entry from Hideo Kojima. And if he doesn't do any more Death Stranding games, then we have 2 of the absolute best games I played on PlayStation. Genuinely. But that's going to lead very nicely, see if you can guess it before I say it, to my number 1 game of 2025, and that game is Ninja Gaiden 4. Developed by Platinum Games, one of my absolute favorite game developers of all time. And like I said, hack and slash video games are probably my favorite subgenre of video game, well, ever. So Platinum made games like Bayonetta, Metal Gear Rising, Revengeance. And Ninja Gaiden 4 has all of that amazing combat. Dodging out of the way, the platforming, the running on walls, the epic boss fights, the over-the-top story, amazing visuals, grinding on rails. How it links back to one of the other games in the Ninja Gaiden series that I won't ruin here, just in case you want to find out for yourself when you play this game. Because if you haven't played this game, then obviously I'm going to recommend that you play this game right bloody now. Well, not now. I mean, I know we're nearly finished with the video, but still, wait until I'm finished. Then you can go and play it if you haven't played it yet. But yes, Ninja Gaiden, one of my favorite video game series of all time. I know I've said that a lot in this video, but it genuinely is. I love hack and slash games. I love anything Platinum Games does. I even love Babylon Sport, which sadly got taken offline and they didn't implement an offline mode, so I've been unable to play that game since it released, which is a bit of a shame. But Ninja Gaiden 4 is absolutely everything I love in a video game. It has action, it has adventure, it's over the top, it's got an amazing soundtrack. It's just damn fun to play. As everything that made Bayonetta great, everything that made Metal Gear Rising Revengeance great. In fact, a lot of times I really felt like this felt like a sequel to Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. Of course, it's not a Metal Gear game, but still. And it's the game I replayed the most in 2025. It'll definitely be a game I replay quite a lot next year, and the year after that, and the year after that, and the year after that. And that's why Ninja Gaiden 4 is my favorite game of 2025. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, my total ranking of every new release video game I played this year from worst to best. I hope you enjoyed the last couple of hours. Hopefully you enjoyed the gameplay I put in the background. Please, if you enjoyed this video, please do not hesitate to give me a thumbs up. If you haven't enjoyed it, well then you can feel free to give me a thumbs down. Another thing I'm going to ask from you dear viewers, we've been doing this channel now for 5.5 years, and I think it's time that we get serious with expanding. I want to see this channel grow, because the more it grows, the more I can reward my loyal viewers. A reminder, we have channel memberships now. I'm still working on getting the channel fully monetized, no ads and all that usual bullshit that you get. And the only way I can do that is with the assistance of you all. So if you genuinely have enjoyed this video or any of our other videos, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Get the notifications on so you'll know when I upload a new video. I upload every single day. Yes, I can say that with confidence. I upload a new video every single day. So if you like my particular brand of madness in video game critique and all that other stuff, then please subscribe. Please like the video. Share the video out if you think it's worth sharing. That goes the same for any other video of ours you watch. If you really enjoy it and you think someone else will enjoy it, then share it. Share the hell out of our content. It's the only way we're going to grow. But please remember the single most important thing I always tell you, dear viewer, and that is to always stay obsessed with gaming.
Can I go to bed now?
Yes, Bertram, you can go to bed. No, not my bed. Are you still here? Oh, you must have really enjoyed this video then. In that case, you had better subscribe to the channel and check out our other content. Otherwise, you're a booby pants, and no one wants to be a booby pants.